Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Colonel Jeff Edwards, Commander 173rd Fighter Wing, welcome to today's ceremony for the promotion of Lieutenant Colonel Col Lambert. Throughout the ceremony, you will be given cues to rise and be seated at the appropriate times. During the playing of the national anthem, military members will assume the position of attention and render a salute. It is appropriate for civilian guests to stand and place their hands over their heart. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for the arrival of the official party, playing of the national anthem, and the invocation. Major Schuster, would you please come forward and give the invocation?
If you are willing, please pray with us. Dear Heavenly Father, we humbly bow our heads and hearts to thank Thee for this amazing day, one filled with history, hope, strength, legacy, and unity. We are truly grateful for all that Thou hast provided us this day, and for the safety of all those in our Kingsley family. We are grateful to those that have traveled to be here, and we are grateful that they were able to do so under Thy protection, and we ask that Thy protection extends to their return trips as well. We ask a special blessing on Lieutenant Colonel Col Lambert as he continues to guide, mentor, lead the men and women of the 173rd Maintenance Group, and ask to provide continued strength for him in all his future capacities. We are grateful for your blessings of motivation and knowledge upon him and his family that have provided the path for him to rise to such a level within the ranks of this great service. We thank Thee for his heart of service toward his family and our nation, as well as to all our brothers and sisters in arms, those present with us this day, those that have served before us, and those that will continue to serve in the future. It is a remarkable event to watch a humble servant build great things with Thy grace. Please provide Tabby and the girls with enthusiasm and drive that they may continue to support him in his great calling. Their love and service to him provides a steady foundation for this vital work. Continue to prompt and strengthen him in the ways required to lead, guide, and advise in our current and future challenges. Our nation has asked much of us with limited resources, challenging all those charged with the defense of our country and our liberty, and we thank Thee for uniquely qualifying Colonel Lambert with the abilities to not only rise to meet these current challenges, but to do so with efficiency and effective planning and execution to provide for our future air superiority. We know that we stand on the shoulders of giants, those that were called before us to build all that we have today, those that have fought and paid the price for the liberty that we so freely enjoy. May we continue to be protected by the angels as we do Thy work on earth. Please continue to provide us with respect for what we are entrusted with, that we may all make everything that we touch a little better than it was when we found it. We are humbled by the legacy of sacrifice given to us by David R. Kingsley, and humbled by our duty to provide the country's future, training and developing America's great warriors. Please continue to watch over all the members of this great team. In thy sacred name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We would like to extend a warm welcome and thank you to our distinguished visitors for attending today's ceremony. We ask that you hold your applause until the end. Colonel James Mitchell, Vice Commander, 173rd Fighter Wing. Chief Master Sergeant Dominic Engel, 173rd Fighter Wing Command Chief. Brigadier General Retired Steve Gray. Brigadier General Retired Jim Cunningham. Colonel Retired Matthew Andrews. Colonel Retired Jeremy Bannon. Colonel Retired Jeffrey Smith. All other commanders, chiefs, and first sergeants, families, and friends, thank you for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the presiding officer for today's ceremony, Colonel Jeff Edwards, 173rd Fighter Wing Commander.
Well, thank you everybody for being here on this incredible October day. It can't be a day like today in Atlanta, no slack. A very special day for your family, Micah, and Tabby, Josie, and Kayla, and all of your family members here today. I also want to say thanks to everybody who set up this amazing ceremony. Now, I did learn that Captain Riblet set it up for himself because he has a promotion this morning, but I trust he was thinking about Colonel Lambert the whole time. So it is amazing to see the eaglet here and the heritage jet looks so beautiful. Well, I hope to tell you a little bit about what I know about Micah Lambert and what an incredible officer he is. And I've known Micah for quite a long time. I sat here this morning and I kind of looked up at those officers and gosh, 10 years ago, it was Captain Lambert, and he was a commander of the Aircraft Maintenance Squadron. I was a commander of the maintenance squadron right down the hall. And you know, one of the first things that struck me about Micah is balance. You've got to have balance as a leader. And maybe what I started to realize is maybe I was just a little bit out of balance. You know those Monday morning conversations you get back from the weekend, you're at work, it's a standard, how's your weekend? Oh, it's great. You know, if you ask Micah how was his weekend, it was phenomenal. He's out hiking, he's out sailing, he's out brewing apple cider, or beer, all these incredible projects. I was like, man, I need to get a grip on life here. I need some balance. So, but there was one particular Monday conversation that was unlike any other Monday conversation I had. I'm sitting in my office. It's a Monday in the spring of 2010. Colonel Favetti is the boss at that time. He's the maintenance group commander. He walks in my office and he says, hey, Jeff, morning. Morning, sir. Hey, have you seen Micah? No, sir. Is he on leave today? I don't know, sir. Okay. Can you just can you just reach out to him? Give him a call. Just kind of check in. I say, yes, sir. So I pick up the phone. I call. Standard Micah, always happy. Hey, Micah, it's Doug. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. So what are you doing? I'm just working on some projects around the yard, doing a few things. And I'm thinking, he has no idea what I'm about to ask him next. And I was like, how do I say this? I said, Micah, are you on leave today? Oh, no. I said, yeah, because Colonel Favetti stopped by my office and was asking if I'd seen you. He said, no. Oh, and then there was a pause. He stopped by your office? I said, yeah. He said, oh, shucks. I thought it was an SDO. But he didn't say shucks. And then there was this awkward silence on the phone. And then he said, I'll be right in. But here's what's amazing out of this whole incident is I saw the balance emerge. He comes back in and, you know, there's a little bit of serious look on the face. But my no kidding, 30 minutes later, he's back to the normal Micah. Upbeat, things are good. And I thought, how can I bounce back like that? How can I just take something that didn't go so well, bounce back, and then start moving forward? And maybe more than anything than a good laugh that day, what I really learned was Micah has the ability to bounce back. Micah is a very resilient officer who knows how to navigate the challenges of being a leader. And when I think of him as a leader throughout the years, One of the things that sticks out in my mind as a leader is, first of all, having vision, knowing where you're going. And I can't tell you the numbers of times over the past several years, including when I was just a major and he was teaching me all about maintenance, that he was able to articulate, hey, do you understand what this means? 3 years from now, the force is going to look like this. Do you understand what this means, Doug? 5 years from now, what's really going on is this what is the laydown of F-15s is going to look like. I always ask him, how do you know? He says the indicators are right there. He would lay them out in a very precise manner. And what I learned over time in the past 10 years is he is an officer and a leader who is very much focused on the future. And that's exactly what we've needed in the past decade as our F-15 fleet has gone through many sustainment challenges. And Micah, you've done an absolutely phenomenal job leading the most difficult of times with an aging airframe and also with a team that's just exceptional. So your vision, not only for today, but well into the future, has been absolutely key to your maintenance group, the awesome team that you've had here, and as well as the wing. The other thing I think about when I think of Micah is that balance piece. Joking aside, some of the Monday morning conversations, in all seriousness, I think he's an officer who strikes great balance. Here's why that's important. We're called to do more today than we've ever had to do in today's Air Force of maintaining an aging fleet, not just the F-15 fleet, but across the Air Force. The demands on all of our airmen are high. And what this means is a leader who has balance will keep his airmen motivated. A leader who has balance is going to take care of families. In the end, a leader who has balance will keep the team together. And despite all these challenges, Micah finds ways to victory. And that's what's just so amazing about you, Micah, is this past spring, I was just floored. The mission-capable rates went through the roof in the spring. You would think in a time when maybe we had some parts, supplies, or delays throughout the Air Force, we had some sustainment problems with the airplane, you would think, well, surely the mission-capable rates would decline. No, they were actually accelerating. And it's because of his maintenance practices, it's because of his maintenance team that he has grown here that has allowed him to do that. So I think the balanced approach that you have towards work hard, play hard. I also learned that SDOs are a great thing, even if they're a half day long, but the work hard, play hard mindset of having work-life balance is super important, and he really embodies that. This last point that I'm going to share with you is a point that I think really gets to the heart of who Col Lambert is. He cares deeply about people. He cares about people in the community. He cares about his family. He cares about the airmen at Kingsley Field. Let me give you an example of those areas in the community. Donating his time to help out with the Ross Regular Theater, helping out with coaching at sporting events, helping out with various charities throughout the community. From his family, raising a wonderful family, and seeing his daughters off to their gymnastics, their soccer events, finding time to do it all. On top of this all, while I'm barely staying afloat with paperwork, he's out there doing extra things in his family's life, like getting into gardening, working on an orchard, doing things that are good for his family and keeping that strong. And then lastly, for the airmen at Kingsley Field, other than Colonel Retired Smith here in the audience, I don't know of anybody who at the same level has invested in airmen the way Col Lambert has. And some of the NCOs today, and some of the, especially company grade officers, lieutenants and captains, will attest to the same thing. I learned from Colonel Lambert. I learned from Major Lambert. I learned from Captain Lambert. What do they learn? They learn the principles of leadership, that every airman needs to be a leader. They learn that they need to step outside their comfort zones and get into a place where maybe, this is a different group. How do I operate in this different group? What he has grown is he's grown a leadership culture through his mentoring, through his passion for leadership, and his investment in people is bearing fruit. If you look around, some of our master sergeants, some of our captains and lieutenants today, there's some pretty incredible talent, some pretty incredible airmen out there, and they're going to do great things. And why this is important is, regardless of the facilities that we have, regardless of the airplanes that we fly, regardless of the mission that we have, he has recognized through and through that the most important thing to do is invest in people. And Micah, you have just done a phenomenal job as a mentor, as a guide to airmen, helping them to become leaders at all levels. And you've really connected the dots of what it means to serve. in the Oregon Air National Guard, and you have really connected the dots in terms of what it means to be a leader, both now and in the future. I could go through a lot of accolades to say that, and his accomplishments to say that he worked hard to get to Kingsley Field. He might tell you a little bit about his story, but in the time that he's arrived at Kingsley Field in 2002, he told me the story. I'll summarize it. He was leaving active duty. Communications were kind of broke down between where he wanted to go, which is Kingsley Field, and here. So he showed up to the front gate with his records at hand and said, "Yeah, I'd like to join." And something like that basically happened. And that's the spirit that he's had the entire time. I'm moving forward. We're going to get this done. We're going to find a way. So whether it's a simple challenge day to day, whether it's something far-reaching, it's that mindset from the very beginning that says that leading forward is, I want to be in on this. Trust me, Micah is all in for Kingsley Field. He's all in for the Airman, the maintenance group, and for the 173rd Fighter Wing. I can tell you he's all in to serve this great Air Force. And I can think of no finer officer today to promote to the grade of Colonel. Congratulations to you. It's extremely well deserved, and I know you're going to continue to do great things, not just for our mission here, but more importantly, for the future leaders of Kingsley Field. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Edwards. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as we post the promotion order, followed by the administration of the officer oath. Attention to orders. Special order, Oregon Military Department, numbers P016. The Governor of the State of Oregon and the Adjutant General have reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Micah I. Lambert. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated potential for increased responsibility, he is therefore promoted to the rank of Colonel in the Oregon Air National Guard and Reserve of the Air Force, effective 30 September 2020, by order of the Governor of the State of Oregon. Signed, Michael E. Stencil, Major General, the Adjutant General. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Colonel Lambert will now pin on his new rank with the help of his wife Tabitha and children Jocelyn and Michaela.
Later on, we'll talk about wingmen. I had one just now helped out again. Those birds are on there. It's over. Oh my God, yes, they are. We'll fix it.
Oh, gosh, that's so funny.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Colonel Edwards will now administer the officer oath.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Lambert,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will obey the orders
that I obey the orders
of the President of the United States
of the President of the United States
and of the Governor of the State of Oregon,
and of the Governor of the State of Oregon,
that I make this obligation freely,
that I make this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Colonel
the duties of the office of Colonel
in the Air National Guard of the State of Oregon,
in the Air National Guard of the State of Oregon,
upon which I am about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Staff Sergeant Curtin, please come forward and unveil Colonel Lambert's new rank on the eaglet. Thank you, Sergeant Curtin. It is my honor to introduce to you for the first time, Colonel Micah Lambert, Commander, 173rd Maintenance Group.
Like Colonel Edwards said, I'll try to bounce back from that uniform malfunction. First of all, I want to thank everybody for putting this on today. Public Affairs for doing the live posts and taking the photos for the comm. The guys that put up that flag, we will get you a better way to put that up. That was a little iffy, so we'll make sure that's put up a little better next time we do that. Lieutenant Riblett, Captain Riblett, as of a few hours ago, congratulations and thank you for proffering today. Colonel Edwards, a special thanks to you for hosting us today. We've served together a long time, and a lot of times you hear people up here say, you know, I wouldn't be here because of you, but literally, we would not be here because of you. You kept us about a year ago. We were ready to leave, to be honest with you. We had another really unique opportunity, and he fought to keep us here. So seriously, wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, sir. So thank you. All right, Sergeant McCormick, thanks again for proffering and bringing everybody here today. All right, before we get started, I have to clear something up. Out front, you saw a beautiful, beautiful Corvette. Candy apple red, brand new. It is not mine. Somehow this rumor got started that Colonel Lambert made Colonel and he bought himself a brand new Corvette. Obviously, these people did not know me very well. I drive a 2002 Saturn. I am probably one of the most frugal people you know, and the Corvette is not mine. All right, I had to get that out of the way first. All right, now moving on. Tabby, I'd just like to thank you. You've supported me so much throughout the years. It started early on in our relationship. She moved over here, basically dropped everything she was doing in college to support me upon activation. And September 11th happened. She moved again to Salem. She put her career on hold, as you didn't know, and put her career on hold again to continue to educate our kids during the pandemic right now. So she continues to support this family and really clears it up so I can actually focus on the mission at hand, even though I forget STOs every once in a while. Thanks for bringing that up, sir. Girls, you guys have grown as just great young ladies. You really motivated me. You may not realize it, but just sometimes the kind words, the insightful statements you go just blows my mind. And just coming home and seeing your smile light up the room when I come home, it's wonderful. And so thank you for being the foundation of my success. So thanks, guys. Mom and Richie, thanks for raising me. These folks taught me great values. They really taught me things, just basics of hard work, faith, bedrock of family, and really just the foundation that I needed to serve. And a lot of the servant's heart I've learned from them, so thank you for that. My father called as soon as he knew I was going to be promoted today and said, I'll fly right out. And that's just how supportive he is. He's in South Dakota right now, where I grew up. And he was going to be here. We kind of talked about it. It didn't make sense just for the timing and the amount of time I'd have to take off and the kids still in school. So we're going to schedule that, and I look forward to having some time with you, Dad, real soon. All right, Linda Graham, thanks for being here. Talk about support. I mean, they lived in Alameda for, 37 years, and they just moved to Klamath Falls to also support us. So our newest Oregonians are here, so thank you for being here and moving up to help us with the kids and everything else. I wrote 2 speeches for today. I also threw them both away. And as I told Major Schuster this, he just gave me this look, and he looked at me and goes, today's a big deal. And it's not what he said, it's how he looked at me and the way he said it, which is basically go down and write a few words so you have something to talk to. So I did. I walked down the hall yesterday, and I looked in the hallway, and as I walked down, we had the Airman's Creed hanging there. And I looked at it, and I passed it a million times. We've said it at ceremonies and at graduations and promotions many times, but I really read it. And there was a few words in there that just rang true to me, and I went, that's it. That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow.
Because as I was reading that, it's how the heck am I here today? How am I, the enlisted guy turning wrenches, standing here as an 06 in charge of a maintenance group? How did this happen? And as I read that creed, it just rang true. I know exactly how it happened. So the creed, those of you who don't know, in 2007, General Mosley kind of wanted to inherit the warrior ethos into our airmen. The Airman Creed helps establish a coherent bond between the members of the United States Air Force. The creed is fueled by the Air Force heritage, and the words of General Mosley, the warfighting focus, culture, conviction, character, ethics, mindset, spirit, and soul we foster as Americans. So again, I asked myself, okay, how did I get here? The creed begins in part, I'm an American airman. I've answered my nation's call. I'm faithful to a proud heritage, a tradition of honor, and a legacy of valor. I started thinking about standing on the shoulders of giants and the things that Major Schuster talked about in his prayer. And yeah, 25 years ago, I answered my nation's call. But my goal was to enlist, to get an education, to have a good time, to see the world, and that was it. That was my goal. But I was called to service, and I can remember flooding Mozambique. I can remember humanitarian missions in Africa. When you serve and you go through that stuff, you want more of it because you see the impact you can make. And so I told you a little bit about the story, but I was recruited out of the auto hobby shop at Ramstein Air Force Base. I saw a gentleman wearing a Henley high school hat. You may know him, Billy Cox across the street, he's a contractor. And I see his hat, and I go, Henley? Kind Falls Henley? I've seen that before. He goes, yeah, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm backpacking around Europe. I'm done. I'm getting my car ready, and we're shipping out, and I'm done serving, and I'm going to go back to college. And he looks at me, are you sure? And he gives me a card, and he tells me about this base at Kingsley Field that, frankly, I didn't really know much about. And next thing you know, he kind of talked me into it that I wouldn't have to drop out of classes and deploy all the time. I could probably finish my education and continue to serve. So everybody's a recruiter, and I'm here because he talked about the Kingsley story outside of Kingsley. But I had a calling to serve, and my family's always had a calling to serve. If you look back at our history, every generation has served either in the armed service or in the service of ministry, going back to before this nation was established. I'll talk about a few of them. Colonel Ford kind of introduced me to the Air Force. He's my grandfather. And every holiday that I can remember, he lived in Colorado Springs. He retired 06 out of Peterson Air Force Base. He'd take me to the Air Force Academy, and Micah, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. I'm not going to the military. That's not for me. And he knew best. But what he did do was introduce me to the lifestyle and really what being in the Air Force is all about. And as he did that, something just ingrained in you. So when the choices came, it was obvious which direction I would go with that. And I continue on the rest of the family. Captain Walsh was an enlisted bicycle mechanic who then served in World War II and was commissioned and ran logistics. Kind of interesting. Grandpa Fred Lambert served in the Philippines during World War II. Again, supply and logistics. Enlisted sergeant. So I come from a long, proud heritage, but we're all have this proud heritage as airmen. I mean, you can see it here behind me. If you look at the Kingsley jet and the old 75th anniversary jet, we celebrate this heritage, and we're all part of this heritage and tradition of honor. The Airman's Creed continues, I'm an American airman, wingman, leader, and warrior. That really hit me as I ran by that, and it's like, that's how folks around me have made me what I am today. Wingman, for those of you who don't know, just describe an honorable term, describe somebody you've served with, you've been battle tested with, you've come out, you've had a lifelong bond. Someone you can trust, depend on, and will always be there when you need them. I've had the pleasure to serve with many, many wingmen, and many of you guys are here today. My intent now is to actually look and see you guys with masks. It's really hard to tell who's who. So I'll start with those that I can see. Colonel Smith, thanks for being a great wingman, even today. Making sure my rank is on straight. He and I went through some pretty challenging times in the maintenance group. It was really just the two officers and a lot of enlisted movement. And we learned a lot from each other and became lifelong friends, and I'd even say brothers at this point. So thank you for everything, sir. My current chiefs and former chiefs, I have learned so much from you guys. Chief Ford, I remember early on in our careers, I looked at things that were important to you, and I couldn't see as much value. Now I look back, man, you had it spot on. The emphasis in fitness, it saved your life, right? You'll tell everybody that. And I started looking where I am, and I need to commit to that more. Your self-improvement. Every lunch, you had lunch and a book learning about how to make yourself a better airman, and I take those things from you. I go around the room and probably say similar stories about just everybody in here. Chief McKenzie, we've had quite a history. It's great you're in retirement, but he's been a great wingman to me. My current leadership team, Colonel Edwards, we're out here. I saw Doc Tui somewhere. I saw Colonel Mitchell. We have support each other and have just great attributes as wingmen, and I trust your friendship and your mentorship as we go forward. So anyway, the next thing is leaders, right? Leaders lead. And I've been surrounded by great leaders throughout my career, and I go through the names here, but you know a lot of them. We talked about Colonel Favetti, Colonel Harris, now General Harris, Colonel Elvin, Colonel Dolan, Atkinson, Sheese, Miller, French, McQuistion, Andrews, Bannon. I mean, I can go on and on. Freak Andrews is out here today. I've learned so much. Freak, the power of levity. This guy can bring a joke into the darkest situation and just light up the room. And I learned so much from him. Sitting next to him, sorry, apologize. Sorry. Colonel Gregory, he taught me a lot and really gave me the latitude to operate at headquarters and make a lot of mistakes. He didn't crush me for doing so. So thank you for giving me the latitude and working up there. Anyway, these leaders, I've noticed a lot of similarities, and I'm just going to bring up two. And the first one is grow where you're planted. I thought this was a very unique and something I made up or coined that phrase. And then I see it in a leadership book, and then I actually Googled it before I came down here, and it's mentioned 26 times in the Bible. So not exactly my original idea. But grow where you're planted is something that I've used in every position I've held. And for me, at the end of the day, I assess myself as, have I improved myself today? Have I mentored and improved those around me? And have I made the organization a better place? At the end of the day, the answer is no. I reassess. The next day I prioritize what I should be doing. If I did do that, then I'm looking basically, was it strategic? Was it important or just interesting? So did it tie to a strategic plan and move the needle forward to where we should be for long-lasting strategic results? So that's been the cross-check, and again, these aren't things new. These are things I've learned from the leaders I've served with. The other thing Colonel Edwards touched on, that's leaders create leaders. Part of the responsibility I have here is not just to train the young officers and help the NCOs along, but to train the future wing commanders. And that's a very unique place to put yourself in. Because a lot of times you're upward mentoring in rank, but I can tell you I've learned just as much from them as I've ever doled out. So I thank you for those folks who have had the time to spend in maintenance to let me at least help guide you a little bit with some of the things that I may be seeing. And I've learned so many things from you guys as you've rotated through. And as you do every 18 months to 2 years, I tell you what, it keeps me on my toes, and it makes me ask questions, and it makes me better. So working with such really just intelligent, motivated, amazing airmen is awesome, and I look forward to that in the future. Yeah, and I can list the names here. Again, it goes way back to General Kelly, Miller, French, Redan, Weeder, Edwards, Smith, Hugh. Obama just rotated out, now we have Gadinsky in, but you look at those names, and to have those guys go on and take the leadership goals they had, it's awesome just to even be a little small part of that. The last is warriors. My career in Air Force began in Special Operations Command, and when I think warriors, I really think back to that time, that level of readiness, and the kind of people I served with, ready to respond to the nation's call anywhere in the world within 24 hours, and it's really was the foundation of my airmanship. I also think the Army brethren that are serving at Joint Force Headquarters, folks like Sergeant Major Lake, Sergeant Major Jocks, Lieutenant Colonel Corey Jones, Lieutenant Colonel Gibson, Colonel Hagan, when I was stationed at Joint Force Headquarters, I relied on these warriors in the true sense every day. If you haven't read The Devil's Sandbox, I highly recommend it. What I didn't realize half the time I was working with these warriors is that book was written about them. And it's just absolutely humbling to have served with those folks and learn from them. I also think about when I think about warriors, the 41st Brigade, or Infantry Division, and if you haven't been to the Oregon History Museum, get with them, stop by and see where the Oregon Guard began, and really where our warrior ethos come from. The last part of the Airman's Creed I've always had problems with. It talks about, I will never falter and I will not fail. The fact is I have faltered and failed repeatedly, and I challenge anyone who's not failed to question their goals or set higher enough they're really pushing themselves to grow where they're planted. The wingmen, leaders, and warriors around me always took failures as learning opportunities, even when you don't show up on an STO. When your bot gets crushed, right? I always come to you and say, keep moving it forward. It is what it is. But we do this by aiming for perfection, and sometimes we fall short and reach excellence. So I'm an American Airman who 25 years ago answered my nation's call. I'm faithful to a proud heritage. I've been truly blessed to be raised by an amazing family, surrounded by friends and family who have mentored me to this day. You guys have done an amazing job getting me to this point. So many have made investments in me, and I thank you all for your time, patience, leadership, and support. Today I have the honor of assuming the rank of colonel because of the wingmen, leaders, warriors before me that I have served with and I will serve with in the future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you for joining us today.